It's been dark way too long in this place. That bright smile long
And
gone.
we're back. Welcome back. So, as you know from our previous conversation, I'm with Brenda and Joselyn, and of course I'm Lakeisha, and we're talking all things real estate. We just got through giving a little glimpse of who we are and why we have chosen to become realtors, and myself a real estate broker. So let's continue the conversation. We're going to talk about the purchasing of a home now.
Okay.
What it entails, from the credit score minimum to closing on that home. So start to finish, basically.
Okay.
So I'll let you start this time, Brenda.
Okay. Well, I know usually I have people that will reach out to me and will say, "Hey, I'm interested in buying a home," and I normally go through the basic parameters in being able to buy a home. And when it comes to like financing, I truly I stay in my lane. I love to defer those kind of questions to my trusted lenders. That I have quite a few of them here in San Antonio, and actually even outside of San Antonio. So even out of state, I have some lenders out of state as well that I can utilize. And I defer those kind of questions. I always ask, what are you looking for? What are your long-term goals? That's one of the major questions that I will ask, because just like Jocelyn's already mentioned, if your goal is to be here for 2 years and then try to sell your house, I will ask you to kind of seriously think about it, because number one, if it's an equity thing that you're believing that you're going to have a lot of equity when you do this, that's probably not going to happen. Most likely it's not. The market has changed a whole bunch. At this moment in time, it is a good time to buy if you can afford to buy a house. We are seeing houses, dropping in price. There's still, that leads into a whole other discussion, because there still is the question of affordability.
Yes.
We all know that things are getting more and more expensive.
Absolutely.
Everyday living is expensive. So although you may be able to get into a house, you have to look at the big picture. And I always ask my clients, let's look at the big picture. What are we spending on car payments and what have you? Because, and I like to bring in my personal experience. I bought a home, pretty much my first house was, I was a little afraid. I will be the first person to admit that I was afraid. So what I learned right away is that although I may be eligible to buy X amount, because I was pretty frugal, had money saved and what have you, a great credit score, at the same time, I didn't know that my first inclination was like, ooh, I want to go buy at the top of what my limit is. And I really am very grateful. I had a lender and I had a realtor at that point, because I was not a realtor, talked to me and said, okay, but are you considering X, Y, and Z? And these are the things that could happen. So things like your property taxes will change.
Oh, yes.
And so you want to be ready for stuff like that. You want to understand that, people do lose jobs. Life happens. What would you do? Would you be able to afford this on one income? Or if you are one income, what reserves do you have available for yourself? So it's always, I want a clear picture when I work with a buyer. I want to make sure that they understand that yes, this is the building of equity. This is also possibly the first investment home you might have. This may be what you leave to your children, and then again, it may not be. It just kind of depends on what the situation is. But I always like to have all of that information up front. What are your wants? What are your needs? What is important for school? And then I bring another special element into that, because I am a retired teacher and I have worked in the Central Texas area, because I'm from San Marcos, so I'm familiar with the school districts from San Marcos all the way into San Antonio. If there's special needs involved, if there's, I was a reading specialist, so if there's some dyslexia involved, if there's autism involved, I'm very knowledgeable about stuff like that. So I always try to get all of that information. Do we have children? Are we retired? Or what is it that we're looking for? So that I can narrow down what it is that, would be the best fit for whoever it is that's looking for a house.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really like the fact how you factored in what school your kids are going to go to, because that's very important. Another thing along those lines, do they need medical care? You know, is there a particular medical facility? If you're a veteran,
Right,
do you want to
correct.
be by
The
the
Veterans
VA
Hospital.
hospital or a particular clinic?
Right,
Those
correct.
are very important questions to ask your buyer. Now, Jocelyn, would you like to add something to the buyer standpoint and from a seller standpoint?
Well, I'd like to add also, how far are you from work? Because that's a big thing nowadays here in San Antonio.
Traffic.
We have a lot of traffic issues, and what are your work times? Can you make it to work on time?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
When I'm looking at the houses and where I can fit you in, how far do you plan to be from work? That's one of the main things nowadays too, along with also how much can you buy.
I would
So
agree.
you have to check how far you're willing to live from your work.
Yes, that is definitely important, because we know San Antonio traffic.
Yes.
Your GPS can say that you're at this point, but in actuality, it's going to take you about an additional 20
At
minutes.
20 minutes extra,
So
yes.
factoring that is a good
Yeah.
suggestion. Factoring in how far are you from your work.
Correct.
So when you're buying, how far are you from your job? Kids' school, if you have kids, medical facility, if there's a particular medical facility that you need to go to. I would also like to say, in reference to factoring in how much affordability. You know, I tell clients as well, you don't have to go to the max. It's
Right.
like you said, Brenda, you never know what may happen.
Correct.
Right.
Just because you're approved for $500,000 doesn't mean that you have to purchase a house from $500,000.
Absolutely.
And then you have to factor in, when you're saying $500,000, do you really know what that amount is monthly payment?
And how does
Correct.
that affect your
You
budget
know?
right now? How
Exactly.
does it change your budget right now? And I think
You know?
that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And then, like you said, Brenda, if you lose your job or you get sick, how can you make that house payment? And can you make that house payment?
Well,
So that's a big thing.
I say
Yes.
this to also say this, because here's the thing, you do have to be aware of those things, but I also will say this, you have to trust in the process and not be
Correct.
afraid to take that step. Had I not been afraid to take that step, I would have, at this point, I've bought 3 houses as a single person. And honestly, I realize, like, it is a scary process, but you also have to have faith. I put my faith in the process. I put my faith in God, that's going to lead me where I need to be.
Absolutely.
And I have honestly said that faith has pushed the fear out of the way. And when it pushes the fear out of the way, then I'm a little bit more ready to take that step.
Correct.
Yeah.
And even in that step, it does take that person that can hold you through this scary times, because the inspection report comes back and it's like, wow, I didn't realize this. And,
Yeah.
I've been told this, and it is the truth. You can find $1 million home and there will be things on that inspection report.
absolutely.
So understand that if your house is $250,000, $300,000, you're gonna find stuff on an inspection. It's just
Sure.
kind of evaluating what is it. Yes, and then having that guidance, that calm voice that says, "Hey, you can do this," and let's work through it.
And that's where having a right realtor makes a difference.
It does.
You have to, I believe, and I will want any client that seeks out me, or I see, I will want them to interview me, because it's a job, right?
It is.
I am becoming their coach, their counselor, their confidant, their friend, their investor. So I would want them to interview me so that they can know that they can trust the process, trust the experience.
Yes.
When we first start out, we all make mistakes, right?
No one's
Absolutely.
perfect.
But over the years, we learn about trusting the process and understanding the process to home ownership. Is very crucial. So what I would like to introduce to the table is selling a home. Because sometimes with selling a home, our sellers, and this is no offense against our sellers, but the sellers, our sellers, they think we have this magic wand and that we're going to sell that house just like that. And they want us to sell it for the amount that they say.
Absolutely.
But it's not possible. That's not realistic. So when we look at selling homes, the market truly determines the timing of the sale of your home.
Yes, it does.
Now, we as realtors, we do a comparative market analysis to see what the probable amount of that home will sell for.
Yes.
Now, again, it's not a guarantee, but it is a probability.
Yes.
So that's a part of our role. But the true selling and timing is determined by the market. We'll do everything that we can to sell that home, from marketing it, having open houses, word of mouth, sharing it on all the different social media platforms and real estate platforms. But even with that, it's still going to be determined by the market.
Yes.
Now, we'll line up those numbers as much as we can. We'll educate you on the numbers. We'll educate you on how to stage your home. We'll educate you on the inspection process, what you can do to increase the sale, and what you can just leave alone because it's not going to make a difference at all.
Correct.
We can also educate you when it comes to the buyer asking for closing concessions. How much is your responsibility and how much is not?
Right.
Would you like to share anything on the selling process?
I think that's the biggest thing is right now, I think more than anything, sometimes, yes, the CMAs are there and stuff, but right now, the way the market is, it has been tough I think everyone would agree, to list a house and get it sold. You're seeing houses stay on the market here in San Antonio a lot longer than they normally would. A lot of us are used to like 2020 when things were flying off the out the neighborhoods, and you could find a new person to buy the house in a heartbeat, really. But there's a lot of things that are affecting that. You're talking about affordability again. You're talking about interest rates.
That's true.
And the truth of the matter is houses are staying on the market a lot longer now in San Antonio, and I would venture to say Texas in whole, as a whole. And so, with that being said, yes, the comps are fewer because there's not as many comps to go by. And so, that's the realistic part of it, is that you have to have those conversations and be realistic and understand that, and you're going to have to make some concessions. I mean, you're going to have to help some of these buyers that we just talked about, as far as affordability goes. If you can go back to when you first bought your house, I know I needed help. And somebody had to help me be able to, with some concessions so that I could be able to get in there and get into my first house. So I think it's things like that to remember, basic maintenance, keep your house maintained, accordingly. It needs to be a pleasant experience. Someone has to be able to walk into your house and be able to see themselves living there.
Absolutely.
So I would say, basic maintenance, upkeep, yard, if something needs to be painted, most people are going to go towards neutral colors. So if you have something that's more towards your palette, understand that may not be what everyone else is looking at. They want to be able to envision that kind of things. And I think, a good coat of paint, good cleanup, a good staging does a lot to help a new buyer possibly see themselves in your home.
Yes.
Absolutely. On that coat of paint, I do say take time on your baseboards. Yes. Because when you're walking into a home, the baseboards are the most important. Please repaint them.
Yes.
Because it'll brighten up a wall if your baseboards are really, really bright and shiny too.
Awesome. And one other thing you said, staging.
Yeah.
We, as your trusted coaches and counselors and confidants, we can help you stage. You don't have to go and spend a gazillion dollars to have someone stage your home. We have the expertise. all things needed to buy and sell, we can help our clients with. Now, this again is just giving you a little bit of information. Now, to find out more, you can give either one of us a call. We'll have our phone numbers and contact information in the body of our video recording. So we're going to take another pause for now, and we're going to come back and talk to you briefly about tenant and landlord relationship and how important it is. See you soon.
Pipeline shining in the nighttime. Bet on me to swoop down. I'ma go toe to toe. Already know that I'm never gonna back down. Bet on me to stand tall. I take on anything for my crew. Bet I risk it all. Wicked people in the streets. Corruption in the politics and the police. It's time to raise up. Take a stand against the seat. We won't take a back seat. I can show you how to be strong. Come on, follow